Well, this is awkward. We seem to have fallen and can't get up. But while we wait for emergency services to come free us from our prison, let's jump into the episode, starting at my beautiful igloo. It's been defaced yet again. Now there's ladders and even more signs, and the clutter just keeps on building up. Especially because I keep adding more and more stuff to the inside, like these cactuses. Always trying to make a diamond to feed my family. But I figure I might as well decorate my store. Let's add a jack-o'-lantern somewhere, and it made a snow golem. I thought the pumpkin had to be on top of snow for that to happen. Huh. But welcome to the 8th episode of the Build Comp here in Terra Nova. In this episode, I'm gonna troll a bunch of people with snowballs because I see them hard at work. Then after having some fun, I'm going to get to work as well. Because Peach's castle isn't gonna build itself. I still need a roof and a bunch of other things. I don't even know how big it's going to be yet, so we need to get that done. But I just can't help throwing snowballs from the shadows. It's especially entertaining when they start looking for me, or maybe even think that someone else was throwing snowballs, and other people end up getting caught in the crossfire. Like Engine now is throwing snowballs at other people while looking for me, it seems. But I stay just out of view, crouched, hiding behind dirt or under trees. It's especially fun when it's contagious. When you hit someone with a snowball and they just can't help but throw snow at somebody else. Before long, everyone's gonna be throwing the snow. Now this does bring up the question of how much trolling is too much, or what is an acceptable level? Because sometimes when you're building, it can be nice to take a break and get you out of your head. You know, and stuff like snowballs doesn't deal any damage. It runs no risks of killing you, making you lose your experience or your items or time or any of that stuff. But there are occasions where you're really actually trying to get stuff done, and someone distracting you by pelting you with snow or something isn't always welcomed. So always gauge personality types and projects when it comes to tormenting people. But I've been caught by the Rambo police, and now he's threatening me with a god bow, and that's super scary. You know, that could actually pop my totem if I'm not careful. God bows are very, very dangerous. Luckily for me, I'm either a ninja or Rambo's a really bad shot, one of the two. To be fair, I'm a really bad shot. Like, there's not very many mobs to practice on, so I very rarely even use my bow. But I need to escape from the Rambo police because he is hot on my trail. Let's pop through the portal. Oh no, but it took me forever to load through the portal, and Rambo made it in first. That's not good. Maybe I can make a speedy boat getaway, and he's in my boat. Oh no, I just cannot get away. This isn't good. I think I'm gonna turn around and he's trying to shoot me in the back. I don't know what to do. This is so scary. Let's take him back to the hub and then just try to fly away. Hopefully flying beats ice boat. But it looks like I made a clean getaway back to the safety of my base, so now it's time to get to work. My next goal is to work on this center topmost pillar, so that I can get a feel for the proportions, to see where the bottom section of the roof actually needs to extend up to, so that it doesn't look wonky. Plus I need to get this measured so I can see how far back the castle needs to extend to. The first prerequisite was that first room, the Mario room, that had to be a certain size, but the next one that will affect how far back the castle goes is this centermost tower. I want it to be probably centralized on the castle as a whole, at the very least definitely not too far forward. I've also still been neglecting my light spam, and I'm getting creepers spawning on my tower. See, like normally, during my playthroughs, I'll place torches as I build, like layer by layer, to make sure that everything is 100% safe. But this time, I want more control over the lighting. I don't want everything just to be lit up to the maximum value. I want to play with the shadows and have dynamic lighting. But that's making things more dangerous, and it's causing me to have dark spots on my floor and on my towers, and mobs are threatening to break my work. That's one of the big questions, right? Is like, do we torch spam as we go and like try to change the light later? Or is it more efficient to not place light as we go and place it all intentionally after the fact? One is safe and the other is dangerous, but the safer it is, the more effort you have to put in later to actually control the lighting as a whole. It also depends on terraforming versus builds, right? Like terraforming, you can just spam torches all over the ground. And when you actually go to terraform, a lot of times you break out most of the ground anyway. Whether it's like changing the shape of the ground or adding rivers or puddles or whatever. But either way, those torches are all on the ground, so they're easy to break if need be. Whereas if you spam torches on a build as you go, a lot of times those torches are like way up high on a wall, and you'll have to pillar up or scaffolding up just to break out the torches to control the light. It's just different. I'm still torch spamming the ground because that's easy to fix later on. But when it comes to my build, I'm trying to be more conservative and just keep an eye out and be cautious for mobs. But I just have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to roofs. I'm trying to figure it out, but there's just so much unsurety there. I'm not very confident with my roofing ability. And pair that with the occasional creeper interrupting my train of thought, since I'm not spamming light everywhere, and it's just kind of rough. And that's probably one reason I'm building this in what appears to be a really strange order, is that I'm trying really hard to make sure that everything is going to fit together. One thing I've noticed is that if I build from the ground up, especially something really big, sometimes things just don't fit together the way that I want them to. Or sometimes I have ideas that I just can't do because of the proportions. Whereas if I build all of the important sections first, and then tie them all together, it's more of a guarantee that the overall structure and proportions will look okay. But I'm still taking the occasional break to trade with my villagers, gather up a bunch of glowstone and netherwort and quartz, and take the time to help out the occasional visitor. Alex needed a Lure 3 book, which I just so happen to have. How awesome is that? Now we can do a bunch of fishing, which is something I normally do. Usually one of the first things I build is an AFK fisher to get books and perfect bows and all kinds of other goodies. But one thing I always do, and I'm going to do this time as well, is use glowstone as details and accents. The block itself is kind of ugly and strong, but if you put it behind slabs or behind stairs, where only a tiny bit of the glowstone is showing, it can be a really beautiful detail or a really beautiful accent. And so that's one of my go-tos when it comes to building, is kind of hiding glowstone behind slivers and slabs and stairs. But I'm finally to the point where I'm building some of the side walls and figuring out where those things go, which means that hopefully now the roof will kind of build itself, at least in some places. Like these spiky towers, we wouldn't want the roof to connect, so we need at least a slab's worth of space in between the pre-existing spiky roof and the regular roof. And then like these side walls can just connect diagonally up to the top section. My hope is that this will kind of build itself, so I won't have as many decisions to make. Now that I have important sections done, I can just kind of connect these sections together and hope for the best. One thing to think about when it comes to roofing, and even other stuff, is think about the real-life applications for these things. Like, what is the purpose of a roof? It's to move water away from the building. So if we just make sure that the roof is sloping downward from the center of the building, it should look okay, because that's what we're used to seeing in real life, even if we don't realize it. But another thing about this is it's Peach's Castle. And what's one iconic thing about the roof of Peach's Castle? We can get up on top of it at the end of the game, usually. We can race Yoshi up here or something. So I want it to be traversable. Except that I'm running into problems where I'm mining out the slabs that I'm standing on, even though I'm not aiming at them. Like that. Like those slabs weren't even on the screen, and somehow I mined them out from under my feet. Like, you gotta love the displays of competence from Jankmo. I really wish they would spend more effort and time actually optimizing the game rather than just reskinning pigs to sell plushies. But I'm not going to complain about them too much. Back to roofing, back to positive things. I'm just kind of tweaking things as I go along. Like, I didn't like how square this roof was, So I'm going to pop out the corners and make it more rounded. And that's the thing with any sort of art or any sort of project, whether it's a painting or Minecraft building or writing a novel, right? Is you just kind of do your best the first time around, and then you go back and you examine it. And you take the parts that you don't like and you change them. And maybe you like them better, maybe not. But if you keep changing the parts that you don't like, eventually you like all of it, or at least the majority of it. And that's how it goes with any sort of creation. Again, you would just do your best the first time around, and even if you hate it all, even if whatever you think about it, at least it's there. And then just pick what you don't like about it the most, and tweak that. Another way that we can visualize this is, say I give you a bowl of candy, of like every candy in the entire world. Well, you're not gonna like a lot of that candy. Some of it you just think is gross. Well, if you take that bowl of candy and you remove your least favorite candy from that bowl, well, now it looks a little bit more yummy. And if you keep removing the candy that you don't like, eventually that bowl of candy just looks amazing to you because it's full of your favorite candy. And that's how building goes. You know, it's just a bowl of candy. Just keep removing your least favorite candy as you go along, and eventually you're left with a build that looks really yummy. And again, this applies to any sort of creative field, any skill set. All we can do the first time is our best, whether you're a professional or an amateur. But the trick is that after you do your best the first time, you can change it and make it better and better and better. And the more you examine and the more you change, the more you learn. And that's the secret to progression, to improving your skill sets, is trying out multiple different things so that you can examine those things. Not just try them out, but take a close look at how you feel about them. Say you made a square house, and you're like, I don't like that this is square. Well, not only can you change that and try out a different shape, but now you know. Next time you go to build a house, I don't like it square. So you just inherently avoid doing that because you learned from the last time that you examined what you did. And the same can be said with patterns, color combinations. I mean, the same can be said about candy. If you try out different candy, you learn which candies you don't like and which ones to avoid buying later on. So don't be afraid to try out new things, step outside of your comfort zone, and be silly. Just always remember to go back and examine what you learned from those things. It's not enough just to try new things, but you need to remember that you do or don't like that new candy, that you do or don't like that color combination, that you do or don't like that shape. And the more you do that, the more you examine your own preferences, the better you get. And all of a sudden, you'll find yourself building stuff that you love because you've gathered enough data about what you enjoy. But as you can see, I've taken a break from the stress of building to go torment Houdini with his own eggs. He has some chickens in his sniffer farm, which turns it into an egg farm. And I just realized that if we throw eggs at the side of his castle, we can hatch chickens that won't despawn, and that will be like pigeons on the side of his castle. Now, jokes aside, I actually kind of like this idea. Chickens won't fly away and stuff, so they're the perfect castle pigeons. Like, what castle doesn't have pigeons sitting on the trim? You know, so throw some eggs at your castle next time you build one. Another thing I thoroughly enjoy seeing are these dinner bone mobs. Every time I see one of these, I just have to stop and stare at them for a little bit, because it's just, I gotta appreciate the silliness, you know? I mean, just look at that face, you know, that's such a, oh, it's so silly. Another silly thing is that my igloo has been defaced yet again, the ultimate defacing. Now there's an elephant crushing my poor, beautiful, amazing, complex igloo. But, you know, I have to say, this is quite an improvement. It actually looks much, much better now. Oh, and the entrance to the elephant store is behind the elephant. Oh, that's so great. Oh, I absolutely love this. This actually changes some of my future plans. Like, this igloo was never meant to be serious. I just threw it up really quickly as like a joke to make a really bad build and make some diamonds in the process. And like after the build comp was over, I was just gonna break the igloo and build an actual store. But now, I mean, it's not just my shop anymore. Now it's two people's store, all merged together. So it looks like the igloo is here to stay. It's also kind of funny how this ended up happening, because like in the Discord, someone asked what the rules were to building in the shopping district. And I jokingly said, just build a shop on top of another shop, you know, anarchy, rah! And, well, that's what I get. You know, now someone built a shop on top of my shop because I was trying to promote nefarious activities. But that's all we got for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe. Be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the structure of these videos. Would you prefer it to be more edited, less edited, or is it fine the way it is? It really helps me learn and think about things later on, just like when it comes to building. But always remember that you are totally awesome, and above all, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!